want to tell you the reason why I'm talking a lot about how you should defend yourself regardless of what your background is because I don't know what it is, but a lot of doctrine and a lot of sectors are trying to preach to people who are so-called reborn or saved that it's okay to just sit back and just, and just let spirit do everything or ask spirit to do everything. That they're misinterpreting the purpose of spirit. Spirit gives us resources every day to do things. Spirit gives us things where we could use to make things better for ourselves. So when we sit here and we petition the spirit sometimes for things and we don't get the results, it's because we failed to use what was already given to us. We failed to take in time to look around to see what we already have to help improve our situation. It's not the spirit doesn't care. It's just spirit is like, okay, you haven't really looked around you to see what you can use to fix this. What are you asking me for? And the reason why I say that is because it seems like somebody's always trying to look to an outside source to fix what's going on inside their mind, inside their heart, and they've already got the resources to do that. And then when it doesn't happen for them, they become all defenseless. We live in a nation where there's a lot of people that are very, very emotionalist. We're turning into zombies, turning into robots. And sometimes when you have people like me who are finally in tune with their feelings and they're going through something, and you contact one of these zombie robot type people, whether they're religious or not, whether they're indoctrinated or not, because there's some religious zombies out there too, and you try to tell them what's going on with you and you just want to vent, it's like the first thing they want to do is placate you and calm you down. They don't want to water down what you have to say. It's like they're scared of your emotional intensity. I'm not coming at you with a blade or a bat or anything like that. I'm just telling you what I went through. And it's like they can't even hear it. They can't even understand it. I have people vent out to me all the time, and the reason why that a lot of them come contact me and they vent out to me, now don't get me wrong, they don't do it for a long period of time on a regular basis, but when they do on occasion, because that's part of the human experience, I let them go ahead and express themselves. Because I know what it's like to feel intense emotion, anger and frustration, love and joy and everything else. I know how to feel those things. And unfortunately, we got a group of people that are coming up. Not only is the world becoming automated, but people are becoming automated as well. They're turning into robots, they're turning into zombies, and they don't know what intense love or anything like that is. And that's how come they have these relationships that are very fleeting and they're not stable. Because they do not know how to practice any emotional intensity at all. And there is a time when you should be angry. There's a time that you should be frustrated and sad. There are situations that warrant that type of behavior. So there are times for you where you feel you need to fight a battle. But some of these people that are indoctrinated in a religion that are claiming peace and everything else, sometimes you got to use a peace to get peace. And I know you probably heard that from the Medea plays or anything like that, but I remember hearing that in some of the plays and some of the movies that Medea, the character, would make reference that they got a piece of steel in the pocketbook. Sometimes you got to use a piece, and I'm not saying use a gun, but sometimes you got to use your resources around you to create that peace for yourself instead of just being lazy and just asking spirit to jump in all the time. And that's part of the reason why when some of you guys ask for favors from spirit don't give it to you, because in a lot of cases you've already got the tools that you need to make it happen in front of you. So it's not the spirit doesn't care, it's not the spirit is too busy or doesn't want to be bothered with you. The spirit is like, what are you asking me for this for when it's right there and you've been had this? So you got to think it out, you got to process it. And that's what I'm beginning to learn. Some of you have been asking for something for 10, 15, 20 years, and you've had the ability to deal with it right in front of you. You've had the tools right there in front of you the whole time. You just need to ask Spirit to teach you how to use it properly. Sometimes you got to stand up for yourself. Sometimes spirit doesn't fight the battle for you, because I hear this phrase all the time of, well, I'm going to hold my peace and let the Lord fight my battles. Okay, and that's a phrase in a song, by the way. There's a song called Victory Shall Be Mine. It's an old hymn, and I've heard in the churches, and of course, you know my background that I know about church. So there was a phrase in there, and that's where the phrase came from, is from this song, is victory shall be mine. I hold my peace while the Lord fights my battles. And ever since then, that's been a meme, that's been a mantra. So that's where it came from. It came from that song. It was a battle hymn, it was a hymn song. Okay, that's great. But I think that needs to change. It shouldn't be, I let the Lord fight all my battles. I'll let the Lord fight the battles that He is capable of fighting, and I will use the tools that the Lord has given me so I can fight on my own. And that created a mindset of people, just on that phrase alone, I'll let the Lord fight my battles, created a whole generation of people. Now we're going into a second and third generation of people where all they do is every time something unfortunate happens, they don't try to do anything to ease the situation at all. They just sit back and say, I'm going to let the Lord handle it. Spiritually lazy. Their eyes aren't open yet. They're not. And these people are the most vulnerable to misfortune. And these are also the type of people, when a situation happens with a person, place, or thing in their close proximity, in their family, close relationship, or whatever the case may be, they're the main ones that don't do anything, but they'll give lip service to the situation. And then the ones that aren't enlightened or spiritually or saved or anything like that, who are still walking in darkness, take advantage of the whole situation, take advantage of somebody else's misfortune. Now I'm going to break it down for you guys, because I wasn't going to talk about it before, but it seems like it's manifesting itself more and more. Now there have been 3 instances in my life. Now that I know what I know, and I'm having a more closer walk with Spirit, and Spirit is showing me things, I feel I need to share this because I want to help someone who is being witness to these things. Now, when you decide to take that dark walk and start addressing some of the things inside you so you can be a better person, and that third eye is popped open, you start to see things in people differently. You start to see situations differently. And then once you reach that level, what the Creator is going to do is going to go ahead and start increasing your bounty financially, spiritually, mentally, and everything else. Relationship-wise, it's going to start bringing people in your life that will elevate you. Start bringing opportunities to you. Start bringing ways where you can give back. Start making you a better person, strong character, higher intelligence, you name it, bigger bank account. That's what Spirit's going to do. It might be gradually, it might be all of a sudden. It just depends on what the situation calls for. But you're growing, and you're finally living the life that you have been destined to live because of your special purpose in this universe. But at the same time, those people who took advantage, talked bad against you, and everything else, when you were going through your suffering and didn't lift one finger to help, all of a sudden you see that they're starting to go through the exact same shit that you went through. And this is what makes it even tricky, okay? It's not the fact that they're going through it that surprises you. What surprises you is your reaction to what they're going through. See, you thought that you were going to be taking that emotional trip with them, and you feel nothing. You feel a little bit of sorrow. But your heart has turned cold. Sometimes your heart has to turn cold. Because right now you've got a whole new life with whole new responsibilities and everything else. You've taken enough hits and losses. And you've already made that agreement and that pact with your Creator that you ain't going to let nothing get in the way and have you take losses all over again and go back to that dark place. You wasn't going to allow it. So now that these situations are coming up, the chickens are coming to roost, people. The chickens are coming to roost. That's what's happening. Okay? And it's going to happen. Because there's too much misunderstanding, too much spiritual abuse, too many negative attitudes. You see somebody suffering and you don't help, and you sit there and try to take advantage of the absent, take advantage of the incapacity, take advantage of their lack of being able to handle things to serve yourself. It's going to come back to you. I'm going to talk about 3 different situations, how this has affected me, so you guys can understand, to let you know that I know exactly what I'm talking about, and that this ain't no bullshit. Now, I have already shared with you and maybe in a live and in a couple of the videos that I had issues with anxiety and depression, to the point where not only talked about suicide, I actually tried to commit suicide on more than one occasion. Okay? Already been down that road. And now here it is years later. One of the same people that were privy to my situation is going through it. And I got the news from a third party not too long ago. How am I supposed to feel? Do I feel bad that person's going through it? Yes, I do feel bad that person's going through it. But the reason why I feel bad that person's going through it is because, see, that person has not changed their attitude about anything ever since back in the day. They haven't done any spiritual research. They haven't done the dark walk of the soul. They pretended to be saved a few times, but it was for personal gain, some way, form, or fashion. But they've never really checked themselves. They've never really done anything to change their attitude. They have the same mindset that they did from when I knew them back in the day. So now they're having the same mental battles that I had. Exact same thing. Do I think it's a good thing? No, I think it's sad. So when the news was brought to me, I guess this third party thought I was going to get upset about it and want to know, where they're at and what's going on. No, I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to tell you why. Did they do it for me? No. And the reason why I'm so calm about this is because when I was going through therapy and rehab and everything, I came across quite a few people from different spiritual backgrounds, and they all gave me the same message. They said, Deanna, when you come out of this, because you are, there's going to be a time where you're going to be witness to those people who abandoned you spiritually and everything else. Those people are going to go through the same shit you went through, so be prepared. But it's not going to happen until your Creator knows that you're in a place where you can handle it and handle all the blessings that's being sent to you. See, I had to be groomed in order to deal with this, because, see, Spirit doesn't want me running and chasing after behind them with a slop bucket, trying to fix up their mistakes and not knowing what the hell I'm doing. Spirit doesn't want me wasting energy on people who have turned against me and in my time of need. Okay? All right, so that's one situation. Excuse me, I just woke up. Situation number 2. I've already shared with you that I was a functional addict for quite some time and had to go through rehab and the whole 9 yards, and that was a very tumultuous period, not only for me, but for my children, for my family members, and everything else. And I am thankful to this day to be able to make it out to the other side. That is one thing that I have conquered. I am sober. I will be sober. I will not refer to myself as an addict, because I am not a drug addict anymore. Period. It's over with. It's done. So I found out recently that there was someone I suspected that they were doing it very, very close to me. I was suspected that they had been doing it for a while. By the time they finally confessed it to me, it had confirmed that I had already known 2-3 years before. And they're still battling. And every time I talk to them, they're talking about how they're not going to do this anymore, not going to do that anymore, blah, 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 blah. But see, little do they realize you can't bullshit a bullshitter. I heard this before from somebody that they were close to who is no longer with us. Exact same words. So what can I do? Nothing. They're going through the exact same thing. And they were privy to what was going on with me. They were associated with people who took advantage of that whole situation and used it to their advantage to get what they want from me without me being around, without offering any help. So now they're going through it. They're suffering. What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to just hop on the first thing smoking so I can sit in their face and have them lie to me in my face? I know the game, people. The type of help that's needed in that situation does not require you hopping on some plane, going 10,000 miles to have a conversation with someone who is just going to sit there and lie to you because their mind is altered by a chemical substance, because that's all they're going to do. They need professional help. So that's the second situation. This is the third situation. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this and I'm going to let you guys go. I've also shared with you guys that I had to deal with my low self-esteem, anxiety, depression issues, and everything else, and I had to wind up going to therapy. That kind of started during the time of the rehab, and then after the rehab and I got clean, I continued on with the therapy, which was for years. Okay? So, because having to go to therapy, okay, to sort out my parental issues, to sort out my programming issues as far as dealing with religion and doctrine as a child that just left me nothing but confused. Just a whole bunch of things that had to be dug up and addressed so I can start with a clean slate and start to deal with it, with the behaviors that I had, so I won't be repeating the same patterns over and over again, letting the same type of people in my life over and over again. Learning how to leave situations and people and things alone. Okay? So I found out that someone else close to me that I know of is now going through that battle. They have to get the help. They have to get the therapy. They have to clear up those cobwebs of confusion because of their role in the confusion, being privy to it, the misinformation, the mishandling, the negative talk from people who did nothing to help directly. Nothing. So now this person is going through it. And as far as the addiction goes, this person is also going through a situation where they have to deal with that in their house. Someone close to them going through it. And because they never dealt with the problems, they're more susceptible to suffer from it because they don't know the signs, they don't know the symptoms. You can read about it on Google, but until you see those behaviors face to face, how are you going to know? So I say this to say this, people. When it's your time to come up and it's time to be blessed, don't feel guilty when these unfortunate things happen to people who did not do anything to help you when you were suffering. You don't have time to feel bad because you're busy being blessed right now. And it doesn't make you a bad person because you don't react to it. Yes, I had my 5 minutes in a situation where I felt like, man, I should feel bad about it. But I didn't shed nary one tear. I didn't lose a minute of sleep. I slept well, as a matter of fact. I wasn't happy about the situation. It was bad news to hear with these people. But these were the same players who didn't have anything as far as a resource, or they didn't have it in their heart to give a damn. I mean, the buzzers were picking the bones. And to this very day, some of them don't even know what I know. I told you in the previous audio there were a couple of people who looked out for me and supported me and knew about my whereabouts when I was going through my shit. These were also the messengers. They were telling me what these folks said. They were telling me what these folks did with the law and the courts and everything behind my back. These people told me. Every time those people even showed up on their doorstep, they would turn around and call me and say, such and such was over here. And they said so and so. I saw so and so in the grocery store. And they said so and so about you. And these people weren't doing it out of malice. They were doing it because they wanted me to know what kind of motherfuckers I got to deal with once I got out on the other side. See, y'all will probably say, oh, they're just shit starters. No, everybody delivering those type of messages is not shit starters. Their intention is to get you mentally prepared and emotionally prepared to deal with the bullshit once you get through the battle. And having that and the spiritual advisors telling, see, this was all predicted to me years ago. I was being told about the attitudes of these people so I could be prepared. So when this time came right now and I hear the news and these messages, my heart doesn't have to jump in and have sympathy for something that I ain't got no control over. I ain't got no control over those mental and emotional situations in those people. And think about the reason why they would be happening to the same players. Come on, y'all. Do I have to say it? And I'm being blessed at the same time. So come on, y'all. Think about it. So I hope this encourages someone. So if you come across a situation where the chickens are coming to roost and you don't have a reaction, basically don't feel guilty about it. You were warned some way, form, or fashion before from somebody. So it shouldn't surprise you when it manifests itself. And it only shows you who the players were. Love from a distance if you have any love for them still. But you can't get your hands messed up in that. Did they get their hands dirty when they helped you? No. Stand up for yourself. That being said, I'm going to let you guys go. Peace.